What is the craziest encounter of rich kid syndrome that you have experienced? Stuff I should keep it to myself. I know a garbage man that works in rich neighborhoods and takes out trash around move out time for the uber rich kid university. Every year, he finds 200-300 game consoles, the newest ones, and sometimes desktop PCs. The kids don't want to take them home, they just throw them all out. He makes a good $40k a year on eBay. He just cleans stuff up and sells it, nice supplementary income. There's a lot of rich kids in my particular business program in university. I met this one girl a few months ago at a social. We were chatting a bit about our program, and she proudly told me about how she threatens to sue the school whenever things don't go her way. She also said something to the effect of, they have to take the threat seriously, because they know I actually have the means to follow through. Haha. I went to high school with a guy who totaled an Escalade that he got for his 16th birthday, so his parents bought him a Mustang Cobra that he totaled after a few months. So they bought him a classic Corvette, and he died when he wrecked it a few weeks later. I feel bad for the parents, because I can't imagine what it's like to lose a kid. But at the same time, he very thoroughly proved that he's not a safe driver. Why keep buying him cars, and on top of that powerful and progressively less safe ones? While working as a house cleaner, I watched a girl bitch and moan to her mom. Until her mom called the private school to arrange making a donation if they moved assigned seats in classes so the girl could sit beside her friends. Friend of mine got angry at a game when I was a kid and threw his console down some stairs. His parents went right out and got him a new one. My parents would have probably made me eat the thing if I acted like that. My parents would have been like, lol, guess you didn't want it then. A girl in my school was surprised by her parents in the school's parking lot with a new BMW. A freaking BMW. Everyone who is out is basically watching this go down and she starts crying. At first, we are all thinking it's because she's so happy, but then she runs back into the school. Apparently, they were supposed to show up earlier, I'm assuming when there would be more students to witness the surprise. I felt bad for the dad, because he looked totally embarrassed and sad about it. You know, in his head he's like, I created this monster. Ex-girlfriend's friend said to me, can you believe there are people who have never been on a private jet? UHH, yeah, I'm one of them. Girlfriend family is wealthy, she's working her way to it. But she was waiting to get a chance for a promotion and the words, I cannot believe anyone would make somebody work for almost a year to get a promotion, came out of her mouth. And I laughed. My ex was the same way. I once complained to her about a couple of long shifts in a row, and her response was so? Just don't go into work tomorrow if you don't feel like it, face with rolling eyes. I lived with my parents until I was 24, so I could go into the world on my own debt free. Stayed so I could literally spend every cent I made on paying off school debt. I was at a bar, talking with a girl who was about 23 at the time, and we were enjoying each other's company. Until she asked where I lived. I explained to her, and she was put off. She started bragging about how she lives on her own, and that it's pretty pathetic how I am not independent, her friends agreeing. Turns out, she does live on her own, in her parents' guest house. Has everything paid for, and doesn't work. You dodged a bullet, fam. I work in a jail. I always love when someone gets arrested and comes in screaming, do you know who my dad, mom, grandpa, uncle is? He'll buy your entire ducking jail. It's even better when their dad, mom, grandpa, uncle refuses to come bond them out. My college roommate's mom gave him ducking $1,400 for the weekend, just randomly. He blew through the whole thing by Saturday, asked his mom for more money, and was screaming at her because she promised $1,400 for the weekend, and he spent most of what she gave him on Friday. Which isn't a part of the weekend. A Saudi guy in the UK got in a crash with light damage to one side of brand new Mercedes. He called for one of his assistants to come get him, even though the car was fully drivable. My friend rolled up on call with his tow truck and asked the guy where he wanted the Mercedes towed. The guy gave him the keys and said, keep it, I don't want it. Damn, I need to befriend some Saudi princes. Hello. I am a prince from Saudi Arabia. I have money that I must give away. Please email me. Please give me back my $50 you asked of in the email response. Please sir, be patient. The bank is wiring you your funds. For 50 additional. Girl at work told me she hated her dad. I asked why. She said he keeps asking for money since she used his credit card for a Euro trip and left him an 80 grand bill from last year. First day as a librarian in a private school. Help a 7-year-old with the printer. He offers to tip me. I like this one because he is not a snot. He's just trying to be polite. I went to college with a guy who totaled 5 Mustangs in a year. I don't think he was sober enough to remember any of them. At least, he doesn't give up. Girl I went to high school with got a Mercedes for her 16th birthday. Bitched and moaned about the fact that she didn't get a Lexus because her name was Lexi and she thought it would be so cool for Lexi to drive a Lexus with a custom license plate saying Lexi. Her parents did cave and buy her a Lexus for her 17th birthday. My college roommate threw a massive tantrum, like on the floor screaming and crying, because her parents got her a used big grass truck for graduation. It was a 2013 truck with less than 10k miles that was fully upgraded, loaded with every possible add-on. We graduated in 2014. The car was maybe a year old. She already had a 2009 Range Rover. I studied abroad during school, and my class had a super rich kid. One day, he stops showing up to class, but still meets up with us after class for beer. When we eventually asked why, he said he was done going to class, and that he was going to sue the school and have his dad stop making donations, but didn't want to talk about why. Everyone made fun of him, and he stopped coming to meet us after class for the rest of the semester. Came to find out that one of the foreign professors sexually assaulted him one night when he was drunk. It's been a decade, and I feel terrible. Twins in high school. Birthday, I think it was 17. They get matching pickup trucks. Like the souped up larger than life cool as duck looking black ones. Twin A is the brat and smashes his in some remarkable time frame. I want to say same day. It was crazy though. Parents decide not to get him another one, though I'm sure insurance probably covered it even if it was his fault, but regardless he is going to learn a lesson. The lesson? Take Twin B's truck, he's the responsible one, and crash it on purpose. If he can't have one, neither can his brother. So much recklessness, spite, and downright illegal in what he did. Follow up. Not sure if he went to prison etc. I do know he wasn't at school the next year, but he very well could have just dropped out. He was pretty sketchy. Twin B was actually a really good guy, but as soon as his brother was gone he became very quiet. He did eventually get some sort of car, but I remember it was much more toned down, to the point I can't remember what it even looked like, but he got something. There weren't many other rich kids at the school, so this whole story stuck out as a huge event when it happened. When I was in college, a friend that was heavy in the frat life told me about a freshman that got kicked out for having a servant flown to town to do the hazing chores he was supposed to do. Humble rich kid. I was a club at my college town, and my roommate's new friend who drove a Raptor was at the bar. I started shooting shit and we were getting along, so I offered to buy a Y-Bomb vodka Red Bull shot. Being as wealthy as he said, "You don't have to do that, man, save your money. Round will be on me." I explained to him it didn't bother, I was having a good time and insisted I buy the shot. Immediately after that, he pulls out a black Amex and purchases the nicest VIP booth in the club around 3k. Then ask what drink packages they have and ask if he could buy 2 bottles on top of max package. Looks at me and goes, tit for tat. Safe to say, I don't recall much after that. One time, a college dorm mate next door was stressing his dad hadn't yet given him money for the month, and $1,000 wasn't going to last him for the week. Meanwhile, I'm having to donate plasma to afford my next meal. Life just be like that. Bruh, I try to live off less than $1,000 a month. One of my flatmates in university was a Chinese girl who asked us all if our washing was being done. She just threw all her clothes and towels outside her room door and was expecting them all to magically get cleaned. That was an eye-opener. Teacher here. 2 spring to mind. My first teaching job was at a private middle school in one of the wealthiest enclaves in the United States. I taught a kid who told me he didn't finish his homework because his helicopter had stalled over the weekend, so he couldn't leave his family's island. He was telling the truth. Same kid was also a huge pain in the grass who wanted to misbehave with the cool kids and then would lie through his teeth while crying when held accountable. His parents knew he was a jerk and cared enough to bring me a case of wine from their vineyard as a gift every parent-teacher conference or before the holidays. But they didn't care enough to discipline their kid. I now teach at a private school in Europe, and I'm absolutely gobsmacked by how many parents are happy to pay $35k per year to dump their kids into boarding so they can duckle as students and repeat grades 1, 2, 3 times because they don't make any efforts whatsoever. A 14-year-old in full volume cursing meltdown where the duck is he because the pilot of the private helicopter that had brought him they had gone off to get a cup of coffee. The kid was done skiing for the day and found it totally unacceptable that he had to wait 10 minutes before he got flown home. I was a poor kid who ended up getting a scholarship to a ridiculous private school. The one thing that stood out massively for me was probably how much people cared about what everyone else's parents did. Like your parents' achievements counted for yourself. My daddy just brought a new plane. Yes, a literal statement. So what does your dad do? When I replied, duckle, they laughed and thought I was being cool about it. There was this rich kid in our class who was literally disgusted by us buying used stuff, like computer parts on eBay. Once during conversation I said I bought on eBay memory module for my PC, and said to me that I should have a little dignity, and if I